This video is about the all-new Peugeot 3008. It will come as pure petrol, on some markets plug-in hybrid, and also here especially as the e-3008, the pure electric version. And a very special thing is happening here because so far only the big premium manufacturers say, hey, we put a 100 kilowatt-hour battery in a vehicle that has a great range and so on. Now also a non-premium manufacturer says, hey, we also just put a large battery in a vehicle that is still in a compact size, compact SUV. Let's see how that turns out. With Thomas Nautegefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front, all new 3008. Very interesting with this dot structure, large at the outside, smaller than to the inside, and it appears as this very interesting grid depending on the angle you're checking it out from. And here the headlamps, which come as matrix LED pixel light in the GT trim as standard, otherwise an option, and they are kind of lengthened here by this daytime running light in this Peugeot claw design, like rawr. Well, the exterior dimensions, it's a compact SUV, and we can see it here also in the side profile. But in this new generation, what's even more interesting is here that you have this Coupé shape. So wow, that's a very expressive design here towards the rear. The length is 4 meters 54 or 179 inches. That's around 9 centimeters or 5 inches longer than the predecessor. You either get 19-inch wheels or here in this GT trim, 20-inch. Have you seen that? Look at the front and in the rear. So I think the problem with this wheel design is that in the workshop you would need to actually mount them in a way that they are both like this or both like this or like this. But here it's like, you know, yeah, or look at that at the other vehicle. So also when it, you know, starts spinning, for example, then it looks kind of odd that the wheels don't move symmetrical, you know what I mean? Yeah, but maybe that's just my problem. I don't know. You see here at the other sides, this is parallel at the moment from the wheels. Yeah, however, it doesn't make any sense, of course, to fix it in a workshop because the wheels will turn at a different speed at some point anyway because of the differential, be it alone you are in the corner. If the wheels would be turning in the same speed, you would have a differential lock, like with off-road vehicles and so on. So yeah, no use. I think it's just design flaw. It looks cool, the wheel, but together with different, you know, yeah, I'm more a friend of wheels that have like a symmetry in themselves, and then it's no problem when you look rear, front and so on. But definitely I think design-wise, once again, yeah, I think it's very expressive design that you buy a compact SUV but still have something special, like the color called Obsession Blue. Ooh, et regardez, c'est fantastique. A little bit of French lesson for today. Here, look at that. That's beautiful, right? How this claw design is used then for the turning indicators or then here the hazard lights. Yeah, I love these details. Yeah, indeed, this is what I love about this vehicle. That's a compact SUV and not a premium priced SUV, and still is a design object. Also in the rear, look at that. The tail lamps in the signature and then the turning indicators or hazard lights here with a 3-dot design. Once again, repeating this claw design in the rear. And now we have all 6 colors on location for you, ochre and white. Especially good contrast here when you have the black wheel arches. Then you've seen it already, the Obsession Blue. To me, the most screaming out color. I just love it. I would definitely go with this one here. Which one would you pick? Still more to come. This one here, Perla Nera, the black color. Of course, when you look through the car registrations, it's usually black, silver and gray most of the time. Yeah, but I'm also a fan of screaming out colors. This one here, Titan Gray. This looks really elegant, definitely. And this is also a very interesting color. Which color would you say this is actually from the base tone? It's called Ingaro. It's actually an Ingaro blue. So it has a blue nuance, but more a light blue nuance. And last but not least, this is Artense Silver, so a more lighter silver color. Tell me in the comments, which one would you go for? Does it Frunk or not? No, it does not. Yeah, but you think also this platform is using both combustion engine and electric motor. I mean, there would be some space left though. As for the powertrain, you either have front-wheel drive or optional also an all-wheel drive version. Both front-wheel drive versions big or small battery, are under 9 seconds in the acceleration figure. This one here is this cutaway model, always interesting to see. And here you can see this is the cutaway model of the all-wheel drive version. You can see the rear electric motor right here in the rear. And this one has a 6.4 seconds acceleration figure. So once again, either just over 6 seconds or under 9 seconds, all-wheel drive or the front-wheel drive. Top speed is 170 kilometers an hour or around 110 miles per hour. And what you can also see in the cutaway model is the battery pack placed in the lower center of the vehicle. The small battery at 73 kilowatt hours gross, around 71 kilowatt hours net. And then the big battery, 98 kilowatt hours gross, it's around 94 kilowatt hours net. So they have a small buffer between the usable and the nominal battery size. Once again, the big battery only front-wheel drive, the small battery front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And after we drive the vehicle, we can also tell you more about the concise range. And recharging 11 kilowatt AC or soon to come also 22 kilowatt AC. And the DC charging port will be at the 160 kilowatt peak for both batteries. And the so far official figures 20 to 80% state of charge around 30 minutes. So 10 to 80% state of charge will be more than 30 minutes. It's not a super bad figure, but also not a super quick one. This very platform here, the first time it is used on this vehicle for the whole corporation. Later more corporation models will sit on this platform. And you can see here in the front hood, you could also house a normal combustion engine. That's also what's happening. You can also have a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder mild hybrid petrol engine, around 10 seconds in the acceleration figure, not a really strong one, but lower in the entry price. It will be around 10,000 euros or 10,000 pounds cheaper than the electric version, so around 40,000 something, whereas the electric versions will be around 50,000 with the small battery. Big battery will be even above that. And there are also rumors about a plug-in hybrid version, depending on the market. They are not sure where to introduce yet at the filming of this video. This is the key fob, the one we know over years basically, just with the new logo. Door closing sound. It's very solid. I like that. And inside of the doors, the top part here in the front is somewhat soft, also structured, and even more beautiful, the gray fabric here. This is also where the ambient lighting will appear, and also felt coverings at the inside of the doors right here. And this is even more than some of the premium manufacturers nowadays. Seat in the Allure, fabric on the inside, leather on the outside, and here the GT microfiber on the inside. Wow, look at that cockpit here with the nice gray fabric. Let's listen to that. And this floating screen, 21-inch HD. It's really one screen here in the middle part. This is still screen, for example. Standard for all GT trims. In the Allure pack, it's included in the UK, in Germany not. A base version would be 2 times 10-inch, then separated actually. Hotkey bar in the lower part, they kind of interact. And a super small steering wheel, we know that from Peugeot. You have control in height and in and out. It does block only the lowest part of the screen, so it's kind of okay. You can always see the speed here. It's placed relatively high, so then they say also that you don't need a head-up display. And a very nice integration of the ambient lighting all over the cockpit. And on the right side, you can also toggle it from hotkeys below. Right side, then you have the main standard infotainment unit. Also, when you go to the Apple CarPlay, you have this integration. And yeah, it looks actually quite nice, very crisp and a good integration. And you can always return to the main menu. This is the car internal GPS. The temperature is controlled right here. Yeah, I always prefer a separate control somewhere. Yeah, but for a screen solution, it's quite okay. So it stays here with plus and minus in that space. Yeah, and when you hit the middle part, then you get to the extensive climate unit, but then again, plus and minus is here. And the left side is then reserved for the digital instruments. Wow, look at that. Here, even with a small battery, this is the current range prediction. And you can also have the map full screen in the instruments. That's another setting which you can click through like this. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And you can also have the map full screen in the instruments. That's another setting which you can click through like this. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that actually from here. And there we go, back again. You do that Hey Peugeot, seat heating on. Oh, that works, because otherwise you have to go in the menu and then here select seats and steering wheel, and then you can activate the heated steering wheel, for example, and here the seat heating. This is a little bit weird because you cannot click in there to activate it. You have to activate it here, but then in the screen you can put it to lower levels, but when it's out, you cannot click it again to put it on. Then you have to click in the lower part again. Not sure why this is so complicated. I really like this lower hotkey area. So when you have Apple CarPlay connected, then it automatically appears here, for example. Start, stop, and this is then here the gear selection. And here, yeah, I feel it's cost savings because it's one button for everything, and then it depends on the field you are clicking. It does give you some feedback, however. Hidden underneath here is the inductive charging pad, and in front of that the drive mode selector. This is nice clicking sounds. Well, I love this floating console design, however, I think design flaw is this. First of all, I mean here, and then you can kind of like open it from here, but that's not meant to be opened from here. Have you seen it kind of opened just because I was rattling here? This is the meant to be opening, and then it turns on this side. I mean, and I as a driver have to like, I mean, who thought of this? I have no idea. And then you have the charging underneath. This is to connect your smartphone with the cable, but wireless is also possible, as you've seen, for charging only. And also the quality of this whole thing is doubtful. So this is the least favorite part of the interior, I think. Cup holders are adaptive. And once again, what I love is this beautiful gray fabric covering and also this split opening with a lot of space underneath. You can also get this panoramic roof. There is a shade available. It's all electric, and separate button here, like to have a separate button and to really open. It is still not too wide actually, but still cool. Look at the design of the interior from that angle, from the side, where you can see the curved lines here of this flying display. I think that's just a beautiful job. But how is it to sit in as a tall driver? 189, 6'2". Well, here to that party is coming close, but still works. Then a little bit more space than here towards the panoramic roof. Of course, there's a shade available. Yeah, but I think it works for tall adults, and also to the view to the front, also to see the speed. That's actually all fine. And the steering wheel, it's somehow creating fun, definitely. What about the rear? Rear door, hard pack in the top part, and the nice gray fabric covering. Well, and as for the space we have, so when I have the seat set to my driving position, I can use this recess here, and it directly fits also for tall adults in the rear. Not abundance of space, but think about that this is also in this segment here. It's a relatively short compact SUV if you compare it to some of the competitors actually. And headroom in the rear also exactly works. Here, this part we can fold down. They are also somewhat adaptive here, these cup holders. Below there, 12-volt charging. Here again, we have this mix of a structured microfiber that feels and looks pretty cool, together with a high-grade leatherette Isofix at the outside seats each. Trunk or boot here opened underneath there. 520 liters up to 1,480. Here the width is a good meter or 40 inches. The standard length is about 88 centimeters or 34 inches. And interesting is here is 1-1-1 split. So at the moment it's two split, but you can also individually fold just this part. And if we take this one out, I can show you. This is the low setting here for this cover. You can also take that out completely or move it in the upper setting. In this way you have then this even loading area, but less depth. Underneath there is space for a charging cable easily. Total length about 116 meters or 64 inches. And interesting, by the way, the towing capacities, pure petrol 1,200 kilograms, 1,250 for the front-wheel drive electric version like this, 1,350 for the all-wheel drive electric version, and 1,550 for the plug-in hybrid model that is to come on some markets, not yet decided. Acceleration. Plop. That was 50 to 100 kilometers an hour. I mean, you always have instant torque with electric vehicles. This one, of course, here front-wheel drive and not too spectacular from the power output. As I said earlier, a little bit less than 9 seconds in the acceleration figure from 0 to 1 kilometers an hour. But you see here, it's also quick enough to enter the motorway. What's pretty cool here, around 110 kilometers an hour now, like 65 miles an hour, it is very silent in here, so good noise insulation. Also, we don't hear much tire noise and so on from the road. Maybe at the later stage we can also do German Autobahn with more high speed or even higher speed. Here, of course, in France and rest of Europe, speeds are always a little bit restricted in comparison to Germany. We can also set the cruise control here at the steering wheel, gives me some feedback. And then this is also the adaptive cruise control, so keeping the distance to the car in front of me. And you can also control the distance, and I see everything here then in this display. I mean, it's actually quite good, so I'm not missing a head-up display or something, because it's indeed very visible. And also when I'm here in the GPS setting here, either you can see it on the right side here, and when there's like a next intersection coming, I would also have a screen here. So even if there's something else here, I can still see where I'm going as a driver, or maybe when the passenger or something does something here, I still then have an information on the left still. One more press here on the steering wheel, I can activate the drive assist, and now there's this, here the blind spot monitor, that's like a small red dot in the side mirror, and then here, let's see here, the active lane keeping assist. So keeping the car in the lane, a little bit to the left, I would say, but here, yeah, actually quite smooth. Is it really centralized? I'm not so sure about that, but to my feeling, it's a little bit more to the left, maybe. But I think it's overall actually fine. The blind spot monitor appears quite late. That's their philosophy in the former PSA, now Stellantis group, that they don't have this blind spot warning in advance, but rather in the moment where the car is in the blind spot. To me, it's most of the time a little bit too late, but you can also argue pro and con this philosophy. Yeah, I feel here that the lane keeping assist is hugging a little bit too much to the left side. So I would feel that there's a lot of space on the right. What do you think? A lot of space on the right side and really close here on the left. So I mean, the lines are pretty even, I would say, but yeah, that's something I do notice here, definitely. When we are already at speed, let's say we have this typical overtaking situation, and also here with, the steering wheel control, let's see. Plop, that's 110, so there was 90 to 110, and the steering feel is sporty, it feels gaming-alike, I would say. It's also direct, you don't have to steer that much. You don't get the most natural feeling from it, but it's overall fun. It also changes a little bit in the driving modes. Here, for example, in the sport mode, I have a little bit more feedback. When I go back to the normal mode, then it's, definitely softer. Feedback is, to me, better in the sport mode, definitely. Also, you have changed throttle input. So in the sport mode, you just get quicker acceleration in the sense of that the throttle pedal is definitely more responsive. Doesn't mean that you have much more horsepower output or something, but this is also a different philosophy from manufacturer to manufacturer. Overall, it feels home you feel home on the motorway here. It's also comfortable here in these sport seats. I feel that the head restraint is sometimes a little bit, doesn't feel as would be high quality when you lean back here, and it gives away a little bit. But the overall seat is actually fine to me. We have to see also how it is over long distance, actually. And some countryside driving, also topography a little bit up and down. We can talk about recuperation. You can set the levels here with the shifting pedals behind the steering wheel. Material here, by the way, is still animal-based, so they haven't worked on that yet to make that one animal-free. And they're also offering optional animal skin seats still, at least only an option. And here then, so at the moment, just little recuperation. I can hit the left pedal stronger, one more time, then it's even stronger. So you have these 3 levels. So depending on if you rather want a one pedal driving feeling or if you more enjoy to rather roll, have some recuperation like with a normal engine brake, and then do the rest of a recuperation with the brake pedal. You can also see it here in this individualization when you are in this energy menu. Yeah, but looking at that while driving is maybe not ideal. How accessible is all that kind of stuff? Well, it's cool that you can slide here in the lower part. So then go to this application drawer, and then you have like this another main menu which also has a better overview while driving, I would feel. And then there's this energy meter. But you see here, I clicked it, but sometimes it doesn't react. So, and the responsiveness of the system is not ideal, I would say. What is, however, quite cool. So even when you're in this main menu and say like, hey, we have this new law now in Europe that you have a very annoying speed limit warner, even if you exceed just by 1 kilometer an hour. So far, I haven't heard it that much here in this vehicle. However, if you like to turn it off, you have to always do it on and on again if you restart the vehicle. But here it's actually quite easy. So when you just slide right and then go ADAS, and then here accept the speed warning, there you have to confirm it then, and then it's actually off. So this would be one way, and the other way, let's see if I just somewhere here, the other way would be pressing the vehicle symbol here, and then you're actually even quicker at that. So there is at least something where they move between the allowed limits and make it more or less easy for the driver to deactivate it. Also while driving, this is of course more or less possible. Better to concentrate on the road, as always, by the way. So a nice visualization for you is definitely here this energy meter, where you can see the recuperation happening and so on. I feel the vehicle has enough power, and with the recuperation, I meanwhile have the best feeling when I have just little recuperation when I'm lifting the throttle pedal. I know, for example, Tesla does it completely different. They have one pedal driving feeling only, and that's it. You can get used to it, but you have to get used to it because it applies so much G-force on your driver, on your co-driver actually, on the driver as well. So you have to be very gentle with the throttle then, and if you just lift it and have some recuperation, do the rest with the brake pedal, that's fine. With Tesla, the thing is when you use the brake pedal, then the brakes are really being applied. At the same time, of course, also the recuperation when you lift the throttle. But here, their philosophy is when you hit the brake pedal, first all the recuperation is being used, and then if you need more power, then also the wheel brakes are being applied. So it is once again a very fun driving feeling here in the Peugeot. They do that with basically all of their models with this joyful gaming setup, I would call it that way. You don't feel most naturally connected to the road, but I think that's fine in a way. If you compare the previous generation, 3008, how different does it feel? I think they do have some similarities. Of course, the screen is a large difference. So I think design-wise, both exterior and interior, a large leap. So design-wise, this is one of my favorite SUVs, I really have to say. Quality-wise, there are some great things also to enjoy. I mean, you are driving and still looking at that, and it's really enjoyable. But some of the user interface and some of the very details, then you see that's not like a super high-class premium vehicle. Then again, we have the big battery and still a very good range, and we will drive further and further now to get a nice average consumption for you here today. We have nice mild temperatures outside today, so it's good conditions for the battery. So we can expect a good result, but how good is the result really? And what does it mean for the concise real-world range? Well, and Leah pointed out, look at that, here after test ride. Yep, the wheels are not aligned anymore again, at least on this side. Let's check out let's check out the other side. There we go. Oh, it's a beautiful light now. No, not at all. So yeah, that proves my point actually, that no matter what you do before driving, because the wheels do turn in different directions, not in different directions, at different speed, yeah, you have no chance. At some point they are misaligned. But yeah, the car itself looks really beautiful in that scenery here, right? And yeah, that's even more beautiful than here in southern France. So what could we score today as for the energy economy? and then the real world range. We had really ideal conditions for electric vehicles. We didn't have too much motorway, also a lot of lower speeds and so on, city, countryside. And we scored some 15 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so that's around 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Very efficient, very good result. It will be a little bit worse when we have like more higher speed motorway, of course. But that would mean with a small battery around 500 kilometers or 300 miles of real world range. And with the bigger battery, it will even be more like, 600 kilometers or 370 miles. So very good results. Of course, I want to repeat that one more time when we, for example, have the car in Germany and can drive motorway at higher speeds, maybe even at lower temperatures, and see what we score then. But first results, really promising, although you always have to say ideal conditions, and maybe other EV tests we've done were in worse conditions. So it's always really hard to one-to-one compare them, but it definitely shows that this concept works to have a compact SUV, put a relatively large battery in there. Already the small battery is relatively large, and the larger one will be a little bit more expensive, but is extremely large considering that size of the vehicle, and also that it's not like this 100 or 150,000 euro or dollars super premium 5-meter sedan, whatever. So this approach here will catch a lot of customers, I'm pretty certain of that. What do you think? Leave me your comments and compare some other EV SUVs.